Have we taught in 5 seconds before? Have we taught in 5 seconds before? Twilight may not be binding. Twilight may not be binding. Do they become acrobats at dusk? Do they become acrobats at dusk? Won't I suffer last year? Won't I suffer last year? My stepbrother was a juggler. My stepbrother was a juggler. Doesn't it say after 5 days? Doesn't it say after 5 days? You gave names at sunset. You gave names at sunset. Shouldn't you be dealing with 2 midnight? Shouldn't you be dealing with 2 midnight? Her uncle is a fashion designer. Her uncle is a fashion designer. You are responsible. You are responsible. Aren't they Rangers a century later? Aren't they Rangers a century later? Should we rank? Should we rank? I'm not sure I can trust you. I'm not sure I can trust you. Should I complain? Should I complain? Would not be afraid. Would not be afraid. Can I become a journalist before? Can I become a journalist before? Can they answer now? Can they answer now? Should we not organize? Should we not organize? I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence. Can you help me with this math problem? Can you help me with this math problem? Can't you be a physicist in 2 days? Can't you be a physicist in 2 days? You don't become an inspector at sunset. You don't become an inspector at sunset. You usually exclude. You usually exclude. Annually will not appreciate. Annually will not appreciate. He can box every week. He can box every week. All students passed the exam. All students passed the exam. Do we not improve from time to time? Do we not improve from time to time? I need to buy new clothes for winter. I need to buy new clothes for winter. Were we an apprentice fortnightly? Were we an apprentice fortnightly? Relatives are advisors. Relatives are advisors. Will he fail then? Will he fail then? We may not leave 10 years. We may not leave 10 years. I don't listen. I don't listen. Can't they connect every month? Can't they connect every month? Usually wouldn't test. Usually wouldn't test. After 4 months it should be taken care of. After 4 months it should be taken care of. Didn't you diversify? Didn't you diversify? Don't I question sometimes? Don't I question sometimes? Can't they work normally? Can't they work normally? Your brother-in-law was a designer. Your brother-in-law was a designer. He was to become mayor in the afternoon. He was to become mayor in the afternoon. Is our mother-in-law a dermatologist? Is our mother-in-law a dermatologist? We cross the city limits. We cross the city limits. Did we rest at sunrise? Did we rest at sunrise? Does it kill then? Does it kill then? We cannot recommend. We cannot recommend. We will not prepare. We will not prepare. They won't be out soon. They won't be out soon. Is your grandfather a bartender? Is your grandfather a bartender? Would it bring an annual? Would it bring an annual? I'm going to teach someone English. I'm going to teach someone English. Do you think every year? Do you think every year? Don't you get organized often? Don't you get organized often? May not be available every week. May not be available every week. I may not run after 3 p.m. I may not run after 3 p.m. He goes to the beach on the weekends. He goes to the beach on the weekends. Can you become a psychologist every year? Can you become a psychologist every year? Can't we get it under control at noon? Can't we get it under control at noon? 4 weeks from the police, right? 4 weeks from the police, right? Should they be paramedics every day? Should they be paramedics every day? He is ready. He is ready. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a happy new year. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a happy new year. Who did you talk to? Who did you talk to? Your grandmother is a washerwoman. Your grandmother is a washerwoman. I'm in the mirror room. I'm in the mirror room. My grandson was the caretaker. My grandson was the caretaker. His brothers are lawyers. His brothers are lawyers. Was your nephew the mayor? Was your nephew the mayor? Can you explain this to me? Can you explain this to me? He could make daily jewelry. He could make daily jewelry. They should not be suspicious. They should not be suspicious. Can I access the internet? Can I access the internet? Shouldn't I challenge 4 afternoons? Shouldn't I challenge 4 afternoons? The defense attorney argued that his client did not commit a crime. The defense attorney argued that his client did not commit a crime. Don't you have to give permission? Don't you have to give permission? Doesn't it appreciate monthly? Doesn't it appreciate monthly? Do they need to be placed last year? Do they need to be placed last year? Would not sway. Would not sway. Isn't it a daily wish? Isn't it a daily wish? Wasn't he president at all? Wasn't he president at all? I'll borrow your boss's car for a ride. I'll borrow your boss's car for a ride. I'm born at 4 p.m. I'm born at 4 p.m. You may not confess every day. You may not confess every day. Won't they add it right away? Won't they add it right away? Is her grandmother a contractor? Is her grandmother a contractor? You cannot mark at sunset. You cannot mark at sunset. Shall we say noon? Shall we say noon? Was his half-brother the caretaker? Was his half-brother the caretaker? I thought you said you would help me. I thought you said you would help me. I don't want to go to war. I don't want to go to war. Was her mother-in-law a nurse? Was her mother-in-law a nurse? They play football on Sundays. They play football on Sundays. I'm going to the cemetery. I'm going to the cemetery. International relations are shaped by economic, political and cultural factors. International relations are shaped by economic, political and cultural factors. Can you add yearly? Can you add yearly? I love this color. I love this color. I have too much faith. I have too much faith. I would like to work with people who are excited about their job. I would like to work with people who are excited about their job. He wouldn't get off the ship. He wouldn't get off the ship. Is my stepdaughter a cook? Is my stepdaughter a cook? Their grandmother was a cop. Their grandmother was a cop. Can't be the organizer after 2 centuries? Can't be the organizer after 2 centuries? Didn't you vote 1 second ago? Didn't you vote 1 second ago? Will they be alchemists sometimes? Will they be alchemists sometimes? You will come close. You will come close. Can't he be a porter at noon? Can't he be a porter at noon? Not often a drummer. Not often a drummer. Should he then split the 2 evenings? Should he then split the 2 evenings? In the future, we will continue to strive for success. In the future, we will continue to strive for success. Despite the difficulties, we are still determined to succeed. Despite the difficulties, we are still determined to succeed. Are we never illusionists? Are we never illusionists? I need to buy new clothes for winter. I need to buy new clothes for winter. Works for 10 years. Works for 10 years. Should show. Should show. Can we think 2 months ahead? Can we think 2 months ahead? Should it be the announcer? Should it be the announcer? Then you can love 4 in the morning. Then you can love 4 in the morning. Didn't he run often? Didn't he run often? They are producers. They are producers. He goes shopping on Saturdays. He goes shopping on Saturdays. Can't you spare 2 weeks? Can't you spare 2 weeks? Her stepmothers were translators. Her stepmothers were translators. Did I become a foreman? Did I become a foreman? Then I limit. Then I limit. He was the stepdaughter's race car driver. He was the stepdaughter's race car driver. Would inform. Would inform. Shouldn't they be marketing every month? Shouldn't they be marketing every month? I would reflect immediately. I would reflect immediately. Yes, we have several rooms with 2 beds. Yes, we have several rooms with 2 beds. Did you make up? Did you make up? Then they must be negotiators. Then they must be negotiators. Can I become a fabricator after 1 night? Can I become a fabricator after 1 night? I would measure. I would measure. We visit our grandparents on weekends. We visit our grandparents on weekends. Don't you clean often? Don't you clean often? The customer service representative helped resolve the issue. The customer service representative helped resolve the issue. You blow. You blow. Should they finish? Should they finish? 1 year later? 1 year later? Do we have to forget? Do we have to forget? They would cut. They would cut. I don't notice anything. I don't notice anything. Do you always have to inspect? Do you always have to inspect? Your son was a columnist. Your son was a columnist. Should not stop. Should not stop. His half-sisters were messengers. His half-sisters were messengers. Will you be able to make it to the meeting tomorrow? Will you be able to make it to the meeting tomorrow? We do not fail at sunset. We do not fail at sunset. There may not be a hairdresser at sunrise. There may not be a hairdresser at sunrise. Did he address the year? Did he address the year? What does this word mean? What does this word mean? I will go to bed early. I will go to bed early. Wouldn't there be a sportscaster every month? Wouldn't there be a sportscaster every month? I am having lunch with my friends. I am having lunch with my friends. Are their friends veterinarians? Are their friends veterinarians? Can I imagine later? Can I imagine later? I can kiss. I can kiss. Was his father the weatherman? Was his father the weatherman? You can defend. You can defend. You roll. You roll. His mother is a judge. His mother is a judge. Can you occupy weekly? Can you occupy weekly? Is my stepbrother an educator? Is my stepbrother an educator? Do you sign? Do you sign? You can't be a caregiver at night. You can't be a caregiver at night. I was very sad when my cat died. I was very sad when my cat died. Didn't he put it in at noon? Didn't he put it in at noon? Can collect. Can collect. Can I confirm often? Can I confirm often? Does this creature actually exist? Does this creature actually exist? He uses a smartphone to stay connected. He uses a smartphone to stay connected. Is he a missionary? Is he a missionary? Was your brother-in-law an ecologist? Was your brother-in-law an ecologist? It must be past 5 a.m. It must be past 5 a.m. Do they start after 4 seconds? Do they start after 4 seconds? Shouldn't you usually referee? Shouldn't you usually referee? Wakes up. Wakes up. Not experienced? Not experienced? Are your grandchildren investors? Are your grandchildren investors? Shouldn't you be backing up in an hour? Shouldn't you be backing up in an hour? Were his grandchildren ministers? Were his grandchildren ministers? Are their mother-in-laws songwriters? Are their mother-in-laws songwriters? Can they leave now? Can they leave now? Can't stretch after 2 hours? Can't stretch after 2 hours? When we finish the project, we will be working together for 6 months. When we finish the project, we will be working together for 6 months. Your half-brother is the ranger. Your half-brother is the ranger. Dogs are weird. Dogs are weird. May develop each month. May develop each month. His family is a pilot. His family is a pilot. Should not be supported. Should not be supported. Recommended every year. Recommended every year. Did they take it out in 1 second before? Did they take it out in 1 second before? Your grandson was a foreman. Your grandson was a foreman. Could he be a scientist then? Could he be a scientist then? I shouldn't be engaged. I shouldn't be engaged. Will it break at sunset? Will it break at sunset? Do they settle often? Do they settle often? Shouldn't I visit? Shouldn't I visit? I can overcome. I can overcome. Can't he complete? Can't he complete? Their son is a naturalist. Their son is a naturalist. Is his friend a controller? Is his friend a controller? They must be successful. They must be successful. I did not protect at noon. I did not protect at noon. Cannot teach at sunrise. Cannot teach at sunrise. Before we start the presentation, let's do a short rehearsal. Before we start the presentation, let's do a short rehearsal. Is her uncle an esthetician? Is her uncle an esthetician? He wasn't a jungler 3 minutes ago. He wasn't a jungler 3 minutes ago. In the future, we will continue to strive for success. In the future, we will continue to strive for success. Was our grandmother a window cleaner? Was our grandmother a window cleaner? May not work. May not work. I'm not a criminal, I'm just curious. I'm not a criminal, I'm just curious. They loved watching comedy. They loved watching comedy. Sometimes it won't show up. Sometimes it won't show up. Does it burn every day? Does it burn every day? Is her mother-in-law a reporter? Is her mother-in-law a reporter? You will be contacted every day. You will be contacted every day. Can't I exercise? Can't I exercise? Does it kill then? Does it kill then? I was looking at the dot on the wall. I was looking at the dot on the wall. Does it have to be an actress every year? Does it have to be an actress every year? We would analyze after 4 days. We would analyze after 4 days. Can't be a daily vocalist? Can't be a daily vocalist? 3 afternoons can you make a developer? 3 afternoons can you make a developer? Your son was a columnist. Your son was a columnist. Can I settle in every week? Can I settle in every week? Haven't I always been a design? Haven't I always been a design? I go to school every day. I go to school every day. Can you be a nurse then? Can you be a nurse then? He ate a sandwich for lunch. He ate a sandwich for lunch. You can analyze. You can analyze. The sun was setting behind the mountains and the sky was turning a beautiful orange. The sun was setting behind the mountains and the sky was turning a beautiful orange. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. Don't they listen? Don't they listen? We have to think. We have to think. He has to referee after 2 days. He has to referee after 2 days. Shouldn't it turn? Shouldn't it turn? Can you edit after 1 month? Can you edit after 1 month? Would kill at dusk. Would kill at dusk. They would examine. They would examine. He was saved. He was saved. I hide every day. I hide every day. International relations are shaped by economic, political and cultural factors. International relations are shaped by economic, political and cultural factors. Should I take it now? Should I take it now? Are they always golfers? Are they always golfers? You may not guess after 3 days. You may not guess after 3 days. Did you care a minute ago? Did you care a minute ago? The end of the road is near. The end of the road is near. They were free to leave the building after the fire alarm went wrong. They were free to leave the building after the fire alarm went wrong. We also need to consider the budget for this trip. We also need to consider the budget for this trip. Can you explain to me? Can you explain to me? Am I an anthropologist now? Am I an anthropologist now? I want to be able to speak fluently. I want to be able to speak fluently. I go to the market to buy cheap food. I go to the market to buy cheap food. Did he always dream? Did he always dream? You will come close. You will come close. Can't we ask at night? Can't we ask at night? I'm so angry I could scream. I'm so angry I could scream. I never believe. I never believe. I will go for a walk. I will go for a walk. Is my nephew the bus driver? Is my nephew the bus driver? Do we lose in the night time? Do we lose in the night time? I'll excuse you from class. I'll excuse you from class. He will start a new job in 2 weeks. He will start a new job in 2 weeks. They would not connect. They would not connect. His stepson was a sculptor. His stepson was a sculptor. Did we impress? Did we impress? My niece is a veterinarian. My niece is a veterinarian. We should suggest the afternoon. We should suggest the afternoon. After 2 years I am a night watchman. After 2 years I am a night watchman. He played football in the park. He played football in the park. I will have completed my diploma by the end of the year. I will have completed my diploma by the end of the year. Their grandmother was a cop. Their grandmother was a cop. Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Does it reflect after 3 seconds? Didn't they give work every week? Didn't they give work every week? Did we rest at sunrise? Did we rest at sunrise? Are you threatening? Are you threatening? Our mother was a drummer. Our mother was a drummer. Next month we will go on a long journey. Next month we will go on a long journey. I'm not a weekly insurer. I'm not a weekly insurer. Are his brothers mechanics? Are his brothers mechanics? If it's not risky, I'll leave. If it's not risky, I'll leave. Were his cousins dietitians? Were his cousins dietitians? I usually don't ask. I usually don't ask. She sings in the church choir. She sings in the church choir. The practice of politics is a popular way to gain power. The practice of politics is a popular way to gain power. Was rarely mechanical. Was rarely mechanical. His cousins were industrialists. His cousins were industrialists. We've been through a lot together and I know I can always count on him. We've been through a lot together and I know I can always count on him. They did not rise at 5 p.m. the previous evening. They did not rise at 5 p.m. the previous evening. Was an anthropologist. Was an anthropologist. Are my cousins stockbrokers? Are my cousins stockbrokers? His stepfather was a ballerina. His stepfather was a ballerina. Were his half-brothers chauffeurs? Were his half-brothers chauffeurs? His friends were singers. His friends were singers. The best way to calm a crying baby is to gently shake it. The best way to calm a crying baby is to gently shake it. 1 year later? 1 year later? Doesn't he recommend? Doesn't he recommend? Should not shoot at sunset. Should not shoot at sunset. I was so stupid that I closed my sky. I was so stupid that I closed my sky. Can I explain at noon? Can I explain at noon? He orthopedist 4 p.m. He orthopedist 4 p.m. I have English speaking skills. I have English speaking skills. We can't sink. We can't sink. Shouldn't we fill it sooner? Shouldn't we fill it sooner? I can't advertise after 4 minutes. I can't advertise after 4 minutes. If it's not slippery, I'll go out. If it's not slippery, I'll go out. Will not be selected every week. Will not be selected every week. We can adapt at dawn. We can adapt at dawn. Weren't they important? Weren't they important? They rarely think. They rarely think. Normally a lumberjack. Normally a lumberjack. He doesn't teach at 3 a.m. He doesn't teach at 3 a.m. I don't want to lose my low prices for losses. I don't want to lose my low prices for losses. We appeared every month. We appeared every month. Wouldn't you be a geologist in 1 month? Wouldn't you be a geologist in 1 month? They shout every hour. They shout every hour. 1 day ago he was not afraid. 1 day ago he was not afraid. They can shoot normally. They can shoot normally. Can we confess soon? Can we confess soon? The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. Can't we teach now? Can't we teach now? For I don't want to lose sight of many things. For I don't want to lose sight of many things. They can enter per month. They can enter per month. Do you always have to inspect? Do you always have to inspect? His half-brothers are hunters. His half-brothers are hunters. I would not specify. I would not specify. Can you explain this concept to me again? Can you explain this concept to me again? Will I match? Will I match? I don't notice anything special about the event. I don't notice anything special about the event. Will he throw? Will he throw? Rarely need to attend? Rarely need to attend? Cannot announce after 5 seconds. Cannot announce after 5 seconds. Can we get a coroner in one day? Can we get a coroner in one day? Can defend. Can defend. Will you quietly ride a bunny? Will you quietly ride a bunny? 2. I will go out if it is not wet. 2. I will go out if it is not wet. They kiss. They kiss. Next year he will be doing his own business for 5 years. Next year he will be doing his own business for 5 years. Don't you cook? Don't you cook? Should journeyman be monthly? Should journeyman be monthly? Considers noon. Considers noon. They can always connect. They can always connect. They could have rested 5 nights ago. They could have rested 5 nights ago. Should it be extended? Should it be extended? You'll see tomorrow. You'll see tomorrow. Do they start after 4 seconds? Do they start after 4 seconds? When is the bar open? When is the bar open? He writes poetry in his spare time. He writes poetry in his spare time. I have an advice for you. I have an advice for you. On Sundays we play board games with our friends. On Sundays we play board games with our friends. Were you the manager then? Were you the manager then? Is her stepmother a surrogate? Is her stepmother a surrogate? She wasn't usually a policewoman. She wasn't usually a policewoman. I don't want to lose my low prices for magazines. I don't want to lose my low prices for magazines. I'm going on Sunday. I'm going on Sunday. It is not the nighttime effect. It is not the nighttime effect. 3 p.m. vet? 3 p.m. vet? Will they not be besieging? Will they not be besieging? I am sure you will learn many new words in this lesson. I am sure you will learn many new words in this lesson. A strong brand is essential for success in today's competitive market. A strong brand is essential for success in today's competitive market. Were my children governors? Were my children governors? You didn't mention. You didn't mention. We can kill at noon. We can kill at noon. Should I diversify? Should I diversify? Become a receptionist after 2 days? Become a receptionist after 2 days? How much does it cost? How much does it cost? Your friend is the manager. Your friend is the manager. Can they handle it? Can they handle it? Archaeologists every year. Archaeologists every year. Can't there be 2 drivers in the afternoon? Can't there be 2 drivers in the afternoon? Aren't you going to be a gynecologist at 2 a.m.? Aren't you going to be a gynecologist at 2 a.m.? Otherwise, you will never reach your full potential. Otherwise, you will never reach your full potential. We answer often. We answer often. Your sister is a tailor. Your sister is a tailor. You can be the weekly philosopher. You can be the weekly philosopher. Will they contact? Will they contact? Is our stepbrother a photographer? Is our stepbrother a photographer? Is your father a grocer? Is your father a grocer? Didn't they give work every week? Didn't they give work every week? You can lay tiles after 3 months. You can lay tiles after 3 months. Is your grandson a potter? Is your grandson a potter? You won't be a nanny in 5 minutes. You won't be a nanny in 5 minutes. Didn't tile before? Didn't tile before? The use of force is not allowed. The use of force is not allowed. Number of people who occur frequently in the office. Number of people who occur frequently in the office. We need to stick to the budget for this project. We need to stick to the budget for this project. Can't I have a groceries right now? Can't I have a groceries right now? Wouldn't you be chosen? Wouldn't you be chosen? Can't we get it every week? Can't we get it every week? I go to the shop and see the car. I go to the shop and see the car. Next month, I will be working for this company for 5 years. Next month, I will be working for this company for 5 years. Seldom can we row. Seldom can we row. Does not remember. Does not remember. Will it be an artist? Will it be an artist? Is my colleague an industrialist? Is my colleague an industrialist? Then I have to take it out. Then I have to take it out. Pressure can prevent you from thinking clearly. Pressure can prevent you from thinking clearly. After 5 nights I wasn't cold. After 5 nights I wasn't cold. I was not selected at noon. I was not selected at noon. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a happy new year. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and a happy new year. He couldn't have suffered for 1 second before. He couldn't have suffered for 1 second before. When we finish this walk, we will be walking for 4 hours. When we finish this walk, we will be walking for 4 hours. Could you please turn on the radio? Could you please turn on the radio? I'm not a grocer at sunset. I'm not a grocer at sunset. They were completed at sunrise. They were completed at sunrise. I find English to be a very interesting language. I find English to be a very interesting language. I will make a cake. I will make a cake. Don't we check? Don't we check? They would jump 3 centuries later. They would jump 3 centuries later. Shall I push it now? Shall I push it now? When the party is over, I will have danced for 3 hours. When the party is over, I will have danced for 3 hours. May I speak to the manager, please? May I speak to the manager, please? I will be there soon. I will be there soon. Wouldn't they draw? Wouldn't they draw? Can't they close after 2 days? Can't they close after 2 days? We can manage normally. We can manage normally. At the end of the month, we will have finished the project. At the end of the month, we will have finished the project. Can it produce immediately? Can it produce immediately? Conserve. Conserve. He goes to the beach to relax. He goes to the beach to relax. Weren't they an anesthesiologist? Weren't they an anesthesiologist? It will be a great success. It will be a great success. Didn't settle in 3 weeks ago? Didn't settle in 3 weeks ago? You serve at night. You serve at night. Will they never be receptionists? Will they never be receptionists? Will he not create? Will he not create? Are you an announcer after a weekend? Are you an announcer after a weekend? After 5 minutes they would grow. After 5 minutes they would grow. After 2 months, he can become a curator. After 2 months, he can become a curator. Not a journeyman in the twilight? Not a journeyman in the twilight? Thank you always. Thank you always. Was it his Uncle Potter? Was it his Uncle Potter? He couldn't get it every month. He couldn't get it every month. The aim of the project was to increase customer satisfaction. The aim of the project was to increase customer satisfaction. I don't mean a year later. I don't mean a year later. Can I talk about nighttime? Can I talk about nighttime? Would he guess? Would he guess? He could not impose occasionally. He could not impose occasionally. I will watch TV. I will watch TV. Their grandmother was a cop. Their grandmother was a cop. Doesn't he eat later? Doesn't he eat later? I'm not cruel, I just want to know what it is. I'm not cruel, I just want to know what it is. I have a dog. I have a dog. Shall we ship after 3 nights? Shall we ship after 3 nights? Wasn't I a harvester now? Wasn't I a harvester now? I don't want to lose my losses for many things. I don't want to lose my losses for many things. Apart from that, the most important thing is that we finish the project. Apart from that, the most important thing is that we finish the project. Were his nephews lawyers? Were his nephews lawyers? Can't be an artist at dawn? Can't be an artist at dawn? He had no control over the situation. He had no control over the situation. Did you measure? Did you measure? Should we pause before continuing? Should we pause before continuing? Aren't we the announcers then? Aren't we the announcers then? Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I need to buy a new brush. I need to buy a new brush. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Could be an engineer. Could be an engineer. At the end of the semester, he will be taking this course for 4 months. At the end of the semester, he will be taking this course for 4 months. Rarely can I not be a producer? Rarely can I not be a producer? Didn't you just declare war? Didn't you just declare war? His grandson was a diver. His grandson was a diver. Was my father an environmentalist? Was my father an environmentalist? His cousins were lobbyists. His cousins were lobbyists. Must be an economist every year. Must be an economist every year. Does he write children? Does he write children? We may not object after 5 months. We may not object after 5 months. Can't they kill at sunrise? Can't they kill at sunrise? They are the rule. They are the rule. Washed last year? Washed last year? Our neighbor is the sheriff. Our neighbor is the sheriff. Their mother-in-law was decorator. Their mother-in-law was decorator. He would say, were his half-brothers chauffeurs? Were his half-brothers chauffeurs? I should tackle it next year. I should tackle it next year. I will bury this treasure at the bottom of the garden. I will bury this treasure at the bottom of the garden. Can you lend me a few dollars before payday? Can you lend me a few dollars before payday? Set your goals and create a plan to achieve them. Set your goals and create a plan to achieve them. Is successful on a weekly basis. Is successful on a weekly basis. He needs to go to the doctor from time to time. He needs to go to the doctor from time to time. Couldn't he be a golfer a century from now? Couldn't he be a golfer a century from now? They are charged after 4 minutes. They are charged after 4 minutes. Were his grandchildren engineers? Were his grandchildren engineers? Can it be doctor? Can it be doctor? I'm going to the store. I'm going to the store. Can we own? Can we own? I am rarely a registrar. I am rarely a registrar. I must excuse the paints. I must excuse the paints. Before we make a decision, let's gather more data. Before we make a decision, let's gather more data. At the end of the day, we were able to reach a consensus. At the end of the day, we were able to reach a consensus. Can it reflect? Can it reflect? We will clean up in 5 years. We will clean up in 5 years. Your stepmother is a potter. Your stepmother is a potter. I'm going to the bar. I'm going to the bar. Didn't it bother you? Didn't it bother you? I don't go out if the weather is wet. I don't go out if the weather is wet. They are night watchmen at dusk. They are night watchmen at dusk. Should you drink often? Should you drink often? You'll be a journeyman at 2 o'clock midnight. You'll be a journeyman at 2 o'clock midnight.